Greetings. I'm honored to have this chance to speak with you as part of the Women in MICCAI lunch event. My name is Lisa Avila, and today I will be talking about how I've found success in my career by stepping outside of my comfort zone. First, let me tell you a bit about my comfort zone, at least through my childhood, college education, and early part of my career. I like being alone or with a small number of people that I know well. I'm an introvert. I don't really like being in large crowds or having to interact with a large number of people. It really exhausts me. I don't like conflict. I try to avoid it when possible, and I like keeping others happy. I like to know all the answers. I want to be informed. I like following a clear plan step by step, and I really like doing things correctly because I don't like to make mistakes. I also have goals that began to form as I went through school and started to solidify as I entered the workforce. These were never very specific. I wasn't after one particular goal, and I realized that I could be happy in a number of different careers as long as they satisfied a few conditions. I'm one of those people that always loved school and learning new things, and as I came to the end of my formal education, I realized that I really didn't want that to stop. I always wanted opportunities to learn and grow. I felt like whatever I chose to do in life, I wanted to feel like I'm being successful at it, that I'm doing my best, and that others recognize me for doing my best. On the flip side of that, that means that I really don't like to do things that I don't feel qualified to do, because then I won't know all the answers and I might make a mistake, and ultimately that will lead to me not feeling successful. I also eventually realized that I want what I do to make a difference somehow. I don't want to be just an easily replaceable piece of machinery in some company. I want my contributions to mean something. I was born in Brooklyn in 1968. And as most people do, I understood the concept of my comfort zone pretty clearly from an early age, and I generally did what I could to avoid stepping outside of it. I also figured out exactly what I wanted to do with my life before I entered kindergarten, or at least I thought I did, and I spent the next 15 years working towards it while staying safely in my comfort zone. But a straight path doesn't always get you to where you want to be, and you can't always reach your goals from within your comfort zone. It required some sharp turns, taking me outside of my comfort zone to get to where I am today. So this is me at 5 years old, and that's my dad. My dad was a physicist in the space program, and at 5 I thought that was the absolute coolest thing in the world. So I determined that I too would become a physicist working in the space program. All throughout my childhood I was fascinated by math and science. The 1970s was a great time to be interested in space because it seemed like another moon of Jupiter or Saturn or Uranus was being discovered on a continual basis. When it came time to go to college, I took the easy path of attending the state university that was just a few miles from where I grew up. This also happened to be the only option my mom approved of, and as you can recall, keeping others happy is part of my comfort zone. So I started at Stony Brook as a physics major, still dreaming of space exploration. But a couple of things happened over those first years of college. First, I realized there weren't nearly as many opportunities in space exploration as I had imagined. And second, my love for computers really flourished in college. We had gotten our first computer as a family when I was in high school, and it looked something like this and cost more than any car my parents had ever owned to that point. I thought it was the best thing ever. Just using my brain and typing out some code, I could make something that was useful or entertaining. I'm not a great artist, I am not a great musician, but with coding, I could find an outlet for my creative side. In college, taking classes and having access to computers on campus and seeing the research that was happening, it was all amazing. In computer science, I could see how I could make a contribution to the field, and I was still struggling to figure this out in physics. So it's definitely a good idea to change majors, but that was something that pushed me outside of my comfort zone. I had been working towards a physics degree since I was young, and it felt a little bit like being a failure to not finish that. And didn't help that my dad would joke that any field that had to put science after its name wasn't a real science, and that I was switching to computer science because I couldn't hack the physics degree. But I clearly love computer science more than physics, and I made the change. I switched majors and finished my BS in computer science. During my undergrad years, I had some great summer internships and definite opportunities for a good paying job after graduating. But I turned those down to take a summer position in Ari Kaufman's research lab at Stony Brook, and decided to stay at Stony Brook for graduate school. The focus of my PhD was global illumination models for volume rendering, and I truly enjoyed combining my physics background with computer science to do scientific visualization. During graduate school, I had the honor of teaching tutorials at conferences like SIGGRAPH with Bill Renson. You probably know him as the creator of the Marching Cubes algorithm for converting volumetric data to polygonal surfaces for rendering. He worked at GE's Research Center in upstate New York and recruited me to join the team there. For the next 4.5 years, I was back squarely in my comfort zone. I had a job doing what I loved. Most of the time was spent in front of a computer working by myself, and I got to work on some really cool projects like visualizing aircraft engines and developing rendering algorithms for ultrasound devices. At GE, I worked with Will Schroeder and Ken Martin, who, along with Bill Renson, were writing a book on visualization. This book came with some example software called the Visualization Toolkit, VTK. I became involved in that project, adding more volume rendering capabilities to the platform, and really enjoying the impact we were having as the open source project took off. Keeping something like that going from within GE was difficult, and Will and Ken decided that they wanted to start their own company around VTK. They asked a few other coworkers at GE, including me, if we'd like to join them. So here I am, solidly in my comfort zone at GE, but with an opportunity to keep working on something I love by leaving that comfortable position and taking a big risk. The path ahead was not clear. The chance for mistakes and utter failure was great. I had a young daughter, and I was pregnant with my second daughter, and I was terrified of this decision. Ultimately, though, I was more terrified of regretting it if I did not take the opportunity. So 5 of us left GE to start Kitware around VTK. Will Schroeder was the CEO, the rest of us were vice presidents, and my main goal was to make sure that the company lasted at least 2 years so that this position wouldn't look like a complete failure on my resume. So we developed a business plan. We were going to offer services around VTK, such as support, training, and custom development. And then we were going to use those profits to fund the development of a software product that we'd license and sell. We landed some big contracts, or at least big for a company of our size. We had the national labs funding the parallelization of VTK, and the National Library of Medicine. We were involved in a project to create the Insight Segmentation Registration Toolkit. We had more work than we could do ourselves, and so it was time to hire employees. And this turned out to be even more terrifying than making the decision to join Kitware myself. Hiring employees added more pressure not to fail because these employees were relying on us for their careers and for their income. We kept working towards our goal of developing a successful product. We created VolView, a cross-platform application for volume visualization. We were pretty good at developing the application, but we didn't really enjoy selling it, and so we weren't amazingly good at that. Turns out we have a talent for research and development. We really enjoy it. We don't really enjoy product sales. So at some point we recognized that and embraced our open source platform business model. It was a bit of a risky move, giving away pretty much everything we did for free and trusting that that would bring us new business. The recurring revenue stream you get from a licensed product seems like a much safer bet, but our open source business model worked well for us. Fast forward to 2017. We've been in business for 19 years now. We've grown to 4 offices. Our headquarters are still in upstate New York, but we also have an office in North Carolina, one in New Mexico, and one in Lyon, France. We have over 160 employees worldwide. And we have a CEO, Will Schroeder, who'd like to step down so he could return to making technical contributions to the company. I've been happy at Kitware for most of those 19 years. My terror of the first few years eventually mostly subsided. I had a supporting role in the company, which mostly kept me out of the limelight, but now we need a new CEO. I knew that bringing someone from outside the company would be a bad move. They wouldn't have the history and wouldn't understand our fairly unique business model. There were, of course, other great choices inside the company. I could just sit back in my current role and support someone else as CEO. That was definitely the decision that would have kept me in my comfort zone. But ultimately, I decided to pursue the opportunity despite the major blow to my comfort for a few reasons. First, there's my goals. There is no better way to have an impact on a company than to be its CEO. There is, of course, great opportunity for mistakes, but also great opportunity to learn and grow. My desire to always be successful at all that I do nearly scared me away. Will Schroeder is great at setting vision, exciting people about the future, and really developing relationships with Kitware employees. Those were some big shoes to fill and skills I didn't necessarily possess. But I have my own skills and my deep understanding of both our technology and our operational side. I felt like I needed to learn from those women who came before me and carved out their career in the male-dominated world of computer science, and I needed to do my part in serving as a role model for those who come after me. It's a few years later, and we're a bit bigger and in more locations. We now have over 200 employees worldwide, and we've opened an office in the Washington, D.C. area to have a presence closer to many of our federal government customers. We recently expanded our headquarters into a brand new building, signing a terrifyingly large lease contract for that space. I practiced my public speaking skills and worked on my ability to talk to the media and local politicians who visit our office for tours. I am still not good at it, but I try to view it as less of a failure and more as an opportunity for continued growth. I'm actively working on my people skills. These don't come naturally to me, but I've realized that just because I don't always know how to do it doesn't mean I can't learn it. I challenged myself to accept opportunities to engage with others, to accept opportunities to talk about Kitware and about my career, as I'm doing now, even though I still feel somewhat queasy every time I have to do it. I don't sweat the small mistakes anymore. I've become good at owning them instead. There's always room for improvement, and if you go out and seek feedback on what you could have done better, that truly helps you achieve that improvement. I've also learned not to panic about the big things either, like a pandemic that forced us to switch from working primarily in person to working primarily from home just about overnight. We figured out how to keep everyone working, keep everyone safe, and keep things moving forward, despite the challenges that presented, including remotely onboarding all our summer interns and every new hire since mid-March. So almost 30 years into my career, my goals haven't changed all that much. I still love to learn and grow, and I have great opportunities for that in my role, from learning about new technical areas or scientific domains that we expand into to learning about compliance law or labor law or contract negotiation. I still want to feel successful, but I try to no longer hold myself to such a perfectionist ideal for success. I can make mistakes and still be successful as long as I continue to learn and grow from my mistakes. I still strive to have an impact, even though now it isn't me directly having an impact with my technical work, but more about me making it possible for Kitware employees to have an impact with their technical work. And over the years, I've added a goal. I want to look back on my career and know that I've served as a positive role model for those who come after me. My comfort zone, though, has changed quite a bit over the years as I've pushed its boundaries. I no longer try to be alone all the time. I don't even enjoy being alone all the time, but I do need some alone time each day. I still try to keep people happy, but not by avoiding conflicts, but instead by resolving conflicts. I still like knowing all the answers, but I recognize that I don't always know all the answers, so I'm okay as long as I know somebody else with the answers. I do like following a clear plan, but I'm very open to continually reviewing that plan and revising it over time. And I don't try to avoid mistakes, just minimize them and learn from them when they happen. So I'm happy with where I've come to in my career. As CEO of Kitware, I have great opportunity for impact, and I know my contributions are important. I'm also faced with the fact every day that I have a lot left to learn. But I wouldn't have made it here unless I stepped outside of my comfort zone and really pushed on those boundaries. So I'd say the big lesson learned is that you should understand your comfort zone, but don't let it limit you. If you're faced with an opportunity and you're going to turn it down, make sure it's not just because it makes you a bit uncomfortable. Seek out opportunities to expand your comfort zone. It's a skill you can learn, just like learning new math or learning new science. You can learn to expand your comfort zone. And by doing so, you will open up new paths to success in your career. Thanks for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, and you don't have a chance to ask them live, then you can always contact me at my email address shown here.